Paul, a Manager of the Month nomination for you. I know these accolades don't really matter all that much, but nice reminder of the progress you're making.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, we got nominated last year, didn't we? So didn't turn out so great. So yeah, I'm not, I'm not excited or bothered or anything. I mean, Tom kindly emailed me to tell me. But it's just, yeah, it's just about the team, and it's always about the players, always. So if the players perform, everyone looks good. If the players don't perform, everyone doesn't look so good. So it's a recognition of the players, and it surprised me really that Mendes wasn't nominated as a player. You do well to get ahead of his performances this month.
You kept things ticking over nicely on Tuesday night, progress in the EFL Trophy. What did you make of it?
I loved it. I really enjoyed the performance. You know, we keep banging on about, you know, trying to play forward, be aggressive, you know, press, get after teams, try and go forward when you can go forward. The energy of the team, like all the running stats were really good. And I'm well aware of the fact it isn't easy to play for us. We demand a lot out of the team. I don't like slow pedestrian football, really. I like us to get after teams, and if we're vulnerable at the back at times, I accept that. But it was really enjoyable to watch, really. And I know that they had a couple of chances, but it wasn't like we'd played an under-21s team or a struggling second-string League Two team. It was a proper League One team, so it felt like a proper game. And there were some really impressive displays within it. But I just thought, as a team, and as you know, I've clipped it to show them today, reinforcing all the really good things. But just about getting bodies into the box, running forward, all the necessities for victories was there. So all of that really pleased me.
You've got a striker who seems to be banging form and seems to love that
John Jules.
competition.
Ah,
We'll ask about him as well. But James Collins.
yeah, excellent. Obviously, with every striker at every club, there's a real pressure to score. Unfortunately, that is the job. That's possibly why they more often than not are the highest paid players or the biggest value, because they bring the most to a team. If they can score a goal when your team's playing rubbish, you still win. However, I regard my strikers as contributors to goals, goal scorers, but more than that. They have to be more than that. And Colo's out of possession stuff is up there as some of the best I've ever seen. He tracks back to the halfway line. He works really. He's brave on set pieces. He does everything he possibly can do. And I'm not trying to make out he's Mbappe, by the way, but he gives you everything. And the fact that he gets goals for his efforts are great. The fact that he thought he scored with a 40-yard dink. We watched that back today. That tickled me. He's like, oh, like, it was never going in, was it? It was always wide. I mean, it was very panto. But so, yeah, I'm really pleased for him. It's great when your centre-forwards score. If you can walk onto the pitch and feel invincible, that's what I want our players to feel like. Go out as gladiators, think that nothing can stop them. And scoring goals gives strikers that feeling. So I'm really pleased for him. And, you know, he looks after himself. He's always doing extra. And, you know, touch wood, he's always been available to pick.
I should mention Tyrese John Jules as well. Oh, yeah. 2 goals in 2 games. How careful are you going to have to be with him?
Well, very careful, very careful. So, you know, I can't go into exact details, but very careful. And, like, you know, I think when I brought him to the club, I just felt that he was something that we were missing, because we'd lost a Didsy character. Like, the Didsies can do things that other players can't do. I can say that, and I'm not offending any of our players, because none of them will disagree. In every team he's played in, by the way, he's big shoes to fill, and I just felt that we needed a different striker to what we had. They've all got different attributes. He's cool as a cucumber. His finishing in drills is really good. He isn't physically in a place yet that he can play a lot more than what he's playing. We have to manage his training minutes. We have to manage his game minutes. But I'd like to think that people can see why we wanted to bring him to the club. I still think that if the ball would have been good at Bolton, he'd have scored the equaliser at Bolton, because he gets in really good goal-scoring positions. And when you see his goal, which you will, it's a good advert if you go on the app, because I watched it. If you see it from behind the goal, it looks even better. But he's a great kid. The lads love him. Really popular member in the dressing room. And, you know, if we can use him sporadically, he makes the team better. So we've just got to be careful.
And just on the wider point on injuries, because you involved some of the youngsters on Tuesday, I know that was sort of always the plan, but are you thin on the ground at the moment?
Yeah, we are a bit thin, but it's a bit boo-hoo, and I've got no issue with being thin on the ground. That's what happens. It's next man up. Like, we don't sign players here that we don't think are going to play in the first team. There's not like, we haven't got loads of developmental projects outside of the first team. The 21s are, we can bring them through. But so look, if we have 12 fit or 22 fit, I can still only play 11. I'm not going to worry about injuries. It's just about, it's disappointing at the moment. I do know we've got Tomo and Callum back next week, which is a boost. But, I just think that, I don't get too disheartened by it. We've got a really good medical team and they'll come back fighting fit. And I just think it's prevalent in all football at the moment, in all sport. There seems to be a lot of injuries this year, and we've been unlucky with a few and been disappointed with a couple. But generally, the lads who've been performing, we've gone on a good run. We're looking good fettle, and it'd be nice to welcome the injured lads back.
You're back on the road on Saturday. What does the scouting report say on Leyton Orient?
Yeah, I know Richie Wellens really well. I played with him at Oldham. I've seen his teams play. Was fortunate enough because of the timetable. Me and Rich went to watch him play against Chesterfield, although it was a different sort of game. But Chesterfield played really well on that day, and I do know that Leyton Orient at home to away are two different teams, and I do know that we take a great away following. It will feel like a big game that if they're at their best, we're going to have to be right on it. And I do know that games come down to the smallest margins. So if you were at the game the other night, we dominated for the first half. However, they could have scored with the one chance they had when they went in our box. So as always, we're going to have to be very good and diligent in all our things we do. Our one-on-one battles are crucial, so we've got to try and get the ball to the top end of the pitch and get into their box. I'm saying very obvious things here, but we've just got to keep playing at a tempo that other teams struggle to play against. And if we do that, we'll win a lot of games, and hopefully we'll win another one at the weekend. But if we don't, then we need to put a performance level on that enables us to. And sometimes you don't get what you might deserve in football. You're talking about a width of a post or a deflected shot. Like in fairness, our first goal the other night was obviously not worked on. We don't work on corners that come to Connor, who shoots wide and it falls to Colo unmarked. That's just random. And sometimes to win games, you need the random things to go your way. So Saturday, we'll need to perform at a really high level. We'll need a little bit of lady luck, and hopefully if we keep our performance levels like that, the lads feel good about themselves, it should be a really competitive game. But I do know that they'll ask a lot of questions of us, so we'll have to be at our best.